Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. India today was a country of anguish and anger as 600,000 mourners filed past the body of Indira Gandhi. Hundreds of thousands of others battled in sectarian violence that has now left 150 dead and 1,000 wounded. Army troops were given shoot-to-kill orders to put down the rioting, and curfews were declared in 30 cities. The 66-year-old Prime Minister was gunned down yesterday by Sikh members of her own security detail. She reportedly was shot 22 times. Our coverage begins with Richard Roth in New Delhi.
India's grief was expressed in mayhem this morning outside the palace where Indira Gandhi's body lay in state. The death of the woman who dominated political life here for 2 decades quickly unleashed a swell of emotion and a spate of violence. Police were just overwhelmed by the crowds of mourners seeking to file past the body. Young people began hurling stones, and the chaos wasn't contained until troops broke out tear gas, leading to a scuffle, then sudden calm. By afternoon, the army was keeping a benign watch on a more orderly procession, though the crowd was still immense.
So we feel motherless, as if our mother has been shot dead. And India without Indira is like an orphan child.
Grief, though, is only a part of the country's reaction to Gandhi's death. There is also anger.
That is being directed against members of the minority Sikh religion. Buses, cars, and buildings were set afire by Hindu mobs that reportedly beat or shot at members of the religious group, which is being blamed for the assassination. Casualty figures varied widely, but the fear among Sikhs was clearly stated.
I cannot go home because they are killing our people on the roads.
In the population centers of this normally crowded city, most of the people simply vanished. Work throughout India has virtually stopped while the nation is in mourning. The only labor in the capital city was on a field, where the ground is being readied for a funeral pyre. Gandhi's body will be cremated here Saturday. Tonight, however, authorities imposed a curfew throughout much of this city. Where people remained on the street, they were being watched by government troops, and there was quiet. Richard Roth, CBS News, New Delhi.
2 Sikh extremists shot Indira Gandhi, but it is the nation's 15 million Sikhs who now suffer. The Sikhs face a vicious Hindu backlash so severe, hundreds of Sikhs have fled to their temples for safety. And more than that, Sikh leaders say Gandhi's death set the Sikh movement back years in time.
It was, in the opinion of most Sikhs, a very stupid thing to do.
The Sikhs had been negotiating with Gandhi for more political authority in areas the Sikhs control. Some even wanted a separate state. But relations with Gandhi slowly worsened, and in June, when Sikh terrorists occupied the Golden Temple, the Vatican of the Sikh faith, Gandhi ordered the temple forcibly retaken. The battle, by unofficial count, caused 2,000 deaths, and, by way of revenge, the death of Mrs. Gandhi. The problem for Sikh leaders is that there is a power vacuum without her, that whatever her faults, Gandhi spoke with authority. She was the voice of the government. Mrs. Gandhi was a controversial leader, but even critics gave her credit for trying to unify this diverse nation. Moderate Sikhs, despite their growing differences with Gandhi, saw her as a source of conciliation, even hope. The moderate movement wanted Gandhi alive. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, New Delhi.
It started again, the bloodletting that passes for give and take in Indian democracy. By Indian standards, it's not that bad, yet. 1,000 people were massacred in Assam last year. 200 died in riots outside Bombay in the spring. Tamils, Bengalis, Hindus versus Muslim, Sikh versus Hindu, now Hindu versus Sikh. The reasons are usually obscure. This time, it's simply revenge, and targets are easy to spot. If you see an Indian wearing a turban, he's a Sikh. His name will be Singh, which means lion. They're descended from a warrior tribe that once ruled an empire from Tibet to the Arabian Sea. Today, their empire is the breadbasket of India, the Punjab, the showplace of the Green Revolution. The Sikhs are perhaps the most prosperous single group in India. They drive the trucks, the taxi cabs in Delhi, they run businesses, and they make up nearly 10% of India's army. They hold high positions in both the military and in politics. They are resented by many Indians who think they have too much. The Sikhs think they've earned it, and they want more. more land, more water, more autonomy. But in a country of 700 million people, still ruled by caste, more is what everyone wants. Some sense of privilege, a special identity. What the Sikhs did not want was for Mrs. Gandhi's army to storm the Golden Temple. That was an insult. And most of them did not want Mrs. Gandhi killed either. But things like that always seem to happen in India. It's probably too late now for a political solution, and this will end the way things like this always end in India. Never. The blood boils, then it spills out, then what's left of it simmers. Steve Croft, CBS News, London.
The assassination of Indira Gandhi has put a new chill on U.S.-Soviet relations, and State Department correspondent Bill McLaughlin has that story.
In Moscow today, while Soviet President Konstantin Chernenko was signing the book of condolences at the Indian embassy, Pravda said that the CIA and State Department supported Sikh extremist groups in India. And Radio Moscow's overseas service called Mrs. Gandhi's death part of a chain of conspiracies that the U.S. aimed at third world leaders. So before leaving for India today to attend the Gandhi funeral, Secretary of State George Shultz lashed out at the Soviet campaign to blame the U.S. for her assassination, a charge administration officials said could endanger the lives of Americans in India. Despite Moscow's charges, sources at the State Department said plans were still on to arrange a meeting in India between Shultz and Soviet Prime Minister Nikolai Tikhonov.
U.S. intelligence officials say that while the Soviet allegations are absurd, they are very dangerous. The memory here of attacks on U.S. citizens and embassies like the one in Pakistan in 1979 is still very strong. So there is the real concern that the Soviet propaganda campaign could endanger the lives of Americans in India. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, the State Department.
You can't be calculating without a calculating mind.
Now what? I don't know, but they're doing it fast.
Canon's 350 makes 30 copies a minute.
They're doing it in color. The connivers.
Canon's 350 can zoom to precise image sizes and remember them.
They got it in sets already. Already? They're finished. If they're finished, we're finished.
Canon's NP350, the copier with the calculating mind. For more information, call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
Through the centuries, a wine has evolved with a unique taste, the taste of selected European vinifera grapes. A taste so incredibly delicious it wins awards year after year, every year. A taste that has won the hearts of more people than any other imported wine in history. Unity on ice. So nice. If you haven't tried Unity, you don't know what you're missing.
With the kinds of schedules they're on these days, these final days of the campaign, Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale may have a common problem, finding a time and place to get their laundry done. The president left Washington today on a final campaign swing that will take him to 16 cities in 10 states. Mondale, who got his biggest crowd of the campaign today in New York, will visit 13 cities in 9 states. We have reports from Bill Plant and Susan Spencer.
Ronald Reagan's last hurrah? Well, sort of. 2,000 White House and campaign workers cheered the president as he set out on the final trip of his last campaign. And was he nostalgic?
You could have mixed emotions about that.
What are yours say?
Well, there's one of them that says enough's enough.
Mr. Reagan and his campaign managers, in great good spirits, posed on the steps of Air Force One before departing on a 5-day, 10-state swing. Their goal now, nothing less than a 50-state sweep. First stop, heavily Democratic Boston. Launching into his now familiar attack on Walter Mondale, the president was enthusiastic and, when he made a slight slip, relaxed.
The American people don't want his tax cuts, and he's not going to get his tax cuts. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I was talking of tax increases. He never asked for a tax cut in his entire career.
Mr. Reagan could barely hear several hundred protesters who were kept behind a specially erected fence. To a wildly enthusiastic crowd in Rochester, New York, Mr. Reagan repeated his warning against overconfidence.
The polls are scaring me to death because I have a feeling that maybe some people are looking at them and saying, oh,
we don't have to go and vote. It's all over.
The president is playing to Democrats on their own turf as this final swing begins, trying to give them a reason not to go home to Walter Mondale, hoping, too, that they'll help him elect some other Republicans. Bill Plant, CBS News, with the president's campaign in Rochester, New York.
New York's gritty garment district was dressed up today, festooned with flags, decorated with ticker tape, studded with Hollywood stars, and jammed for blocks with an enthusiastic crowd police put at 100,000. The kind of crowd that keeps the upbeat Democrats seemingly unconcerned about prophecies of a Reagan landslide.
Some people say this election cannot be won. I say it can be. I say it will be, and I say with your help we're going to do it next Tuesday.
With but 5 days to go, this was the ticket's last joint appearance. Though even their own polls show no encouraging trends, both Mondale and Ferraro seem at ease with this campaign and more willing than ever to take on the president.
Mr. Reagan is the worst president for working America since Herbert Hoover.
And Mondale responded to the president's allegation last week that the Democrats are soft on anti-Semitism.
Mr. President, that charge says something about you. That is false and contemptible.
Both Mondale and Ferraro will be on the road non-stop now until the election, campaigning on both coasts. And they have bought extensive TV time this weekend, their last chance to get the message across. Susan Spencer, CBS News, New York.
Even Geraldine Ferraro would have to concede that Vice President Bush halted her momentum for a time today, and on her home turf at that. The Ferraro motorcade was stopped today on a Queens, New York parkway, and aides soon discovered the reason why. They were being held up by police to allow Vice President Bush's motorcade to make its way to the airport. It was all eventually straightened out, and everyone finally got to where they were going. The maker of the birth control pill marketed as Ovulin 21 is withdrawing up to 1 million of the pills from the market because counterfeit pills bearing the same name are turning up around the country. Officials warn that the counterfeit Ovulin 21 pills may not prevent pregnancy. And they're adding to the problem is the fact that the counterfeits have the same lot numbers as the real pills. So the company is withdrawing all Ovulin 21 pills with the lot numbers 441 and 489. Both the Food and Drug Administration and the FBI are investigating. And a new government study of aspartame, the low-cal sweetener often sold as NutraSweet, concludes tonight that there is no evidence of serious, widespread adverse health consequences. The National Centers for Disease Control looked at 600 consumer complaints of headaches, stomach problems, and skin rashes that came about after use of the product, but the CDC concluded certain individuals just may have an unusual sensitivity to the product.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And when many adults get a cough, they play doctor at home. They treat their cough with the same medicine they originally bought for their children. They need one of the adult formulas from Vicks, for the coughs adults get with the strength adults need. Formula 44 for coughs, 44D for coughs with congestion, and now Formula 44M for coughs with congestion and a raw, irritated throat. The adult formulas. You can't buy anything more effective.
The adult formulas from Vicks, of course.
Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch. Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch on me.
With the help of the 220-calorie Kellogg's Special K breakfast and those big, crispy, low-sugar, high-protein flakes, I can't think of a tastier or better way to start my day.
Thanks to the K, you can't pinch an inch on me.
A Honduran general and a Miami-based businessman who lost $7 million when the Honduran government nationalized his cement business are among 8 people charged by the FBI tonight with plotting to overthrow the Honduran government. The FBI says that the 8 under arrest were going to assassinate the Honduran president Suazo and take over the government of that Central American nation. The FBI said it also seized more than $10 million worth of cocaine that the conspirators were going to sell to finance the assassination plot. The FBI said one of its agents had been planted in the group as one of the would-be assassins. The need for split-second life and death decisions puts the policeman under the kind of stress that's hard to prepare for. But one police department in the country has come up with something very much like the real thing. Richard Schlesinger reports.
Officer Tina Hicks is responding to a rape call. Her reactions are real. The rape isn't. It's part of a new high-tech training exercise in the Miami Police Department. In 1982, a white Miami police officer shot a black man to death, and 2 days of street fighting followed. After that, the city's Community Relations Board demanded something be done to control the use of force by the police department. This is part of the department's answer. Officers will now be required to train 4 times a year in this computerized simulator. Graphic films are shown of violent crimes acted out by performers. The officers are told to respond to what they see while electrodes monitor their pulse rates. If they increase, the computer changes the action on the screen, making it more violent. The object is to make the officers as tense as possible and test their reactions.
Drop that gun, mister! You drop that gun right now!
The guns are loaded with blanks. The officers are told to shoot if they have to, but only at the right time, when the criminal is clearly dangerous, when nobody else is in danger.
I felt like I was in a real situation. I felt hyped up. I felt like I had to advise what was going on. I felt like I had to take control of the situation.
The police department believes officers who panic can make bad decisions. They may shoot when they should not.
We should get clear, specific responses that are acceptable to policy and to general practices on the part of our officers.
Community leaders worry the police might be counting on the machine to do too much. The real problem, they argue, is that police do not understand the ghetto.
I think that we have to familiarize our police officers with our communities, and that a machine is not capable of doing that.
But city officials say police officers are spending more time in the black community. They are counting on the machine to help avoid police shootings, which could inflame this community again. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Miami.
What kind of fettuccine are you serving my mama?
It's noodle-roni fettuccine. Tastes as good as your mama makes.
Forgive her.
Taste.
Creamy. Cheesy.
Right. It's made with golden egg noodles plus a blend of Parmesan and Romano cheeses kept fresh in Noodle-Roni's flavor packet.
Ah, Angelina, your fettuccine is just like my mama's.
You mean great-grandma made noodle-roni, too?
Noodle-roni fettuccine, a bit of Italy.
I still can't believe it. We told Ed at our Century 21 office everything we dreamed of in a home. Karen even put our dreams in crayon. He studied that drawing and carefully listened to us. Then through streets he knew like the back of his hand, he led us to a miracle.
It's our house!
Miracle? Not really. Just a good friend in a gold coat who helped make our dreams come true.
Put number 1 to work for you. Century 21.
Officials in Carbondale, Kansas today linked a twister-like storm to the deaths of 2 people in a mobile home park and at least 3 people in a small plane crash. Apparently there was no warning when the storm hit the 16-trailer park last night, so fast that it would make your head swim, is the way one survivor put it. A man was found buried under debris. A woman died when her mobile home was demolished. A spokesman said that high winds and thunderstorms probably contributed to the crash of a single-engine low-wing aircraft after it left Topeka en route to Little Rock. Last night, in the first of 3 special reports on the presidential campaign, Dan Rather looked at 2 very different visions that Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale have given to the nation's present and future. Tonight, he reports on the different views and visions of the nation among the voters.
Wilmington, Delaware. Population 77,000. First city in the first state in the Union. Like a lot of other towns in our United States, a microcosm of America. A snapshot of ourselves on the eve of Election Day 1984.
What that snapshot shows is a city and a country in economic transition. Transition from an economy based on heavy industry to one based on service with an accent on high tech. How you fit into the transition, whether you're on the front of the cutting edge or whether you're left behind, helps to shape how you feel about each candidate's vision of the future.
My future looks bleak. I thought that I had a good future ahead of me, but we have taken a setback. I'm going backwards instead of forwards.
Meet John Timothy, 28 years at Phoenix Steel in Wilmington. Times have been tough for the steel industry, very tough at Phoenix, which has gone in and out of bankruptcy. For John Timothy and his fellow workers, that's meant 3 wage cuts and a loss of some important retirement benefits. John Timothy feels he's been left behind.
Do you see the country's future getting better?
No, I do not. If you're in the aerospace industries or something like in your high tech or for the Star Wars, maybe them people are going to make it, but the rest of the country is not going to make it. They're going backwards today. They're not going forwards.
I just have a better feeling about the way things are going in general. There's not as much pessimism around.
For Dr. Gregory Hall, who's been in private practice as an ophthalmologist for the last 6.5 years, the future looks bright.
I've talked to a steel worker who's in this general area who has a contrary view. Not only is he not going to vote for Ronald Reagan, but he says he can't understand why anybody would.
And if I was in his position, I'd probably feel the same way. I feel very bad about that. But when I sit down and look at the pluses and the minuses, for me it comes out on the plus side.
Economically, we are able to do a lot of things that we haven't been able to do in the past.
I believe people are more comfortable now. I think we're getting over a lot of this recession.
Monica McMillan, part-time secretary, mother of a 13-year-old daughter, welfare recipient, trying hard to break the cycle of poverty.
Not saying that his approach to his politics are directly aimed at blacks, but he hasn't done anything positive for black, nor, just lower income or lower class people, period.
People who are doing well are interested in themselves to perhaps an excessive degree. We've forgotten that we have a responsibility to take care of our fellow man, and that sort of selfishness in young Americans worries me.
I think that most young people support Reagan because of an economic security. When they get out of college, they see Reagan as bringing a new prosperity to the nation almost.
A class on the American presidency. For many of the young people here, young people like John McCafferty, Ronald Reagan's vision speaks to them.
People basically don't want to feel bad about the country. They want to feel good about their country. And right now is the time in which you can feel good about the country.
Optimism remains a strong shaping force in the American political tradition, even in the midst of a wrenching economic transition. Tomorrow, we'll have a closer look at how the so-called new patriotism is affecting this year's elections.
Announcing the end of oven cleaner fumes.
Tony, no fumes?
That's the Easy Off oven pad.
But how does it clean?
Great, it's the Easy Off oven pad. Only Easy Off oven pad has both. No fumes and Easy Off grease cutters.
Beautiful. Tony, I'm speechless.
You're also fumeless. The end of oven cleaner fumes.
No fumes Easy Off oven pad, or try faster working Easy Off spray.
Never clean an oven without Easy Off.
To help American business remember better what American business has to remember, help is on the way. Introducing Elephant Premium Floppy Disks for Business. They're designed to protect your data when other disks won't. Elephant Premium Floppy Disks, because Elephant never forgets.
Gifts of gold or silver coins have almost always increased in value. Some of the silver dollars Grandma handed out are worth hundreds today. And a $10 gold piece given back in '32 could be worth thousands now. For the first time, you can give Olympic gold and silver U.S. coins. And although no one knows what Olympic coins will be worth tomorrow, they make a gift that will be cherished this holiday and for generations to come. Available at many locations, or call this number toll-free for information.
A worldwide effort to fight the famine in Ethiopia strained the airports in that country today as an emergency airlift of food and other relief supplies began. The first plane today was from Britain, with 30 tons of food and medicine. Chartered U.S. cargo planes are expected to begin arriving in Ethiopia on Sunday. It's been estimated as many as 900,000 Ethiopians will die of starvation this year alone. Brian Stewart of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is there now. We caution his report on the horror is very graphic.
All across northern Ethiopia, famine is along each road and at the gates of every town. By the hundreds of thousands, peasants are fleeing the worst drought in memory. Unknown thousands are dying along the way. It's feared close to 1 million could die within months, unless the world responds with a massive relief effort. Relief agencies here are swamped. They've never seen starvation on this scale. With no transport, the starving have to walk for days to food centers, leaving their dead behind.
And they've had to walk how far in this condition to get here?
Well, 40, 50 kilometers.
40, 50 kilometers
Yeah, 40 to 50.
in a state of starvation like this, they've had to walk.
And these are still the lucky one that they can manage to come to the town.
Often, they're too late. This woman's child, hiding its eyes from horrors around it, was to die within hours. Everywhere we toured in the north, the catastrophe was the same. Children like this, not fed for a week, were virtually beyond help. These are among the toughest people on earth, but even for them, months of famine is too much.
They seem to have lost the will to live. They're too tired.
Within months, things here could be 10 times worse. That's the most frightening thing of all here, the fact that this may not be the height of a catastrophe, but just the beginning of an even greater one. Brian Stewart, CBC News, in northern Ethiopia.
That's the news. I'm Bob Schieffer, sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Goodbye.
When arthritis pain says you can't, and Caprin's micrograins of arthritis medicine let you say,
I can.
Introducing Encaprin, a better way to treat arthritis pain than plain or buffered aspirin. Because its hundreds of aspirin micrograins are made to deliver unsurpassed relief to minor arthritis pain in a way that's safer for your stomach than plain or buffered aspirin. So when arthritis says you can't, new Encaprin lets you say,
I can.
Encaprin micrograins go to work in a remarkable way. They're made to pass through your stomach without dissolving, so they're safer than even buffered aspirin. And when they leave your stomach, they provide hours of relief to minor arthritis pain in your shoulder, your hand, wherever it hurts. When arthritis says you can't, new Encaprin lets you say,
I can.
When arthritis pain says you can't, remember, Encaprin lets you say,
I can. I can. I can.
You know the fiber in Metamucil is good for you, but Metamucil is 50% sugar. Now there's Fiberall. Fiberall has the sugar-free formula preferred by 3 out of 4 doctors surveyed. Fiberall, the laxative fiber of Metamucil. But instead of sugar, more healthy fiber. Fiberall. No wonder 3 out of 4 doctors surveyed chose the formula in Fiberall. Fiberall does everything Metamucil does without the sugar. Fiberall.
I'm Bill Curtis. Tomorrow, looking back at Iran. And in our 8:30 half hour, getting into college. Look up to what's happening on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.